So Bradshaw on Twitter, JBL, thanks Stone Cold. So here's to Stone Cold. Here's the quote. When he got hot, every building his name was on anywhere in the world sold out. Great guy, so happy I was there to see it and get the paychecks he created for us. And this sort of got me thinking, the culture of thanking somebody for the house. Do you remember doing this back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It was not a requirement, but if you come in and you say you're on early before the main event, when the main event guy comes in there, you go up and I've heard this probably 5,000 times. It didn't have to be sold out, just a good house. And they say, hey, man, thank you for the house. Thank you, man. Oh, yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was just a sign of respect for the guy that headlined that night, that had enough interest in him and his opponent and the match that the building would almost fill up. And even if it didn't fill up, the fans were so into that main event. I mean, all down through the card. You just had to have good matches up to there. And then when that main event hit, the music and all the ritual of getting into the ring, the people come to see a show, and most of the time they got one, a big one. And Stone Cold, he was hotter than a $2 pistol. Mm-hmm. He was hotter than a $2 pistol, and where he went, people just they were up. They loved him. But you know why they loved him more than anything else?
It's probably because
he talked like they did.
Yeah,
he talked like a Texas redneck because that's where he's from. And I don't think he would have those writers say a lot of stuff. He just go out there and do it himself. I rode with him. He came to Memphis, and I used to ride with him almost every night. And brother, he would make the miles fly by. He'd start telling stories of this and that and the other, and I'd ask him something else, and he had something for everybody and was funny. He was funny as hell anyway. So, he went back to Texas, and then he got his start. And then I was in WWE, and then he showed up, and I said, well, you're going to like it here. I think Vince is going to like you. And as you can see, what he did. How long was he in WWF?
Oh, full time. He joined at the very tail end of 1995, and then he retired. Well, he retired from the ring in 2003 WrestleMania, and then he stuck around for an extra year as a non-wrestling GM.
About 10 years. About 10 years.
Even less. About 8 and a bit.
Well, he did good with his 8 years, and he was. Just think of all the T-shirts they sold.
He got cut a check for $10 million just for residuals 1 year for merchandise.
10 million. No wonder he could quit.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you something about Steve, right? So I know a lot of people who are listening to this and watching to this know your history with Steve Austin. You gave him the name Austin, just off the top of your head kind of thing. So the way that Steve says it is, and I don't know what, if this was on day one of your relationship with him when you knew him or further on down the line, but he said that, Dutch told me, sit in the corner, watch every single match, and you cannot help but learn something. Did you see something in him that day when you told him, or were you just trying to stop him from annoying you, and you just wanted him out of the way?
No, I was booked in Memphis, but he didn't call me. He called Jerry Jarrett, who's no longer with us, and, condolences to his family. Good guy. But he had a name, Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. And no, he had a name, Steve.
Steve Williams. I think he was going
Steve Williams.
Yeah, because there was already a Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Yeah, I said, you can't be Steve Williams. Why not? That's my damn name. I said, well, they already got a Steve Williams. That's like having two Ernie Ladd. You can't have two of them. And he said, well, what do you got? And I said, well, wait a minute, and I'll come up with you a name. So I told him what he was going to do in his match, and he was on first. And right before we went out there, the referee kept coming back in there, or the announcer kept coming back. What are we going to call him? What are we going to call him? 5 minutes. I said, I don't know. Call him, for lack of anything else, call him Steve Austin. And I just thought of Austin because it's like I think it's the capital of Texas, I think. And Austin is a good Texas name anyway. So he went out there.
And it's the $6 million man name, of course.
Yeah, and that was later. And he come back and said, "Why'd you change my name?" I said, "Well, Steve Williams wasn't going to get it." So, and he come in there and he said, "How'd you like my match?" I says, "Well, oh, what did you like about my match?" I said, "It would probably, no, what didn't you like about my match?" And I said, "It'd be shorter if I told you what I did like about your match, which was nothing. Now I want you to go get a seat and I want you to put it on the stage out here. And I want you to sit and watch every match all night long till we leave. And that's how you learn." And he started doing that, and he says he still does it. Mm. He watches every match every night so he doesn't repeat what they do. I didn't tell him to do that. I just told him to watch every match and get used to the style, and then you'll know what to do.
How many people have you told that to, and how many people have actually done it? Oh, sit down and watch every match and learn.
I didn't tell it to many people, but I did tell it to Steve. But, most guys don't know what the hell they're doing anyway. These guys and I forgot who said something about this, was they go out and they do these beautiful moves, just beautiful. It looks like a tumbling exhibition, but they don't know how to work. They can do the tumbling, and I call them like the spots. They can do that. But if you're not working off the people's feelings and trying to read them, you just have a tumbling match and they don't care who wins. And usually when somebody wins, there's no heat to it at all that makes anybody want to see a return between these two. So, you know what I used to do when I was a heel? I lost every night. So I was a master at losing. I would get up and they'd say, "And the winner," of course, it'd be the other guy, "So-and-so, and yay, yay." And I'd go, "Oh, God." And I'd go to the turnbuckle and I'd act like I'm crying. Oh, here they come. And then, I would tell them, "All right, listen, if you don't leave right now hollering at me, I will never, ever come back to this town again." And when I left, they were standing. And they didn't want to see me. And then when I would come back to the town, they said, "I thought you said you weren't coming back." Then I would say, "Who said that?" They said, "You did." "When?" "Last week." I said, "I did not." "Yes, you did." I said, "You're a liar." Oh my God. I'd have them ready to fight me. I said, "Why would I say I wouldn't come back to the town? I don't have a choice of whether I come here or not." And I said, "I don't know what it is about you, but you need to quit that lying because you can go to hell for that." And I would just argue with them, and they'd follow me all the way to the door, and I went in. Then I'd say, "Well, if you're here when I come back out, I'm going to beat the hell out of you." And guess what? They were there. And I said, "I would beat you up," but the cop told me, he says, they don't want to arrest anybody tonight. So he's a buddy of mine. And, I said, "I won't make any extra work for you, but you'd be in jail. Plus you'd have your ass whipped." And it was just little things like that because you single them out. And I bet the guys that I told I'm going to beat the hell out of you, they still remember it to this day.
With just going back briefly to Steve, then we'll move on. Is when you first saw Steve, did you actually did you think potential good hand, or did you think there's somebody who's actually got money drawing ability? Because I know it's easy to say in hindsight that so and so. Oh, I saw.
Well, I didn't see a lot of money in him from the start because he was so green and nobody knew who he was. But I've said this 1,000 times: you tell a story with him, and that story can grow, and he can. There's an old saying in wrestling: you talk them in. You talk and talk and talk, and if you're entertaining, like Dusty Rhodes was, Steve Austin was entertaining, a lot of people were entertaining. You just got to go to see what they were going to do, and that's what he did. I mean, Vince tried something else. The ringmaster with him. What was it?
No, that was it. Yeah.
He tried the ringmaster, and he come back, and I saw him in the ring, and I said, brother, that is deader than Kelsey's nuts. I said, I got an idea for you. He said, nope, nope, I got an idea for myself. So he didn't want to hear my idea, but I would have given him more or less the same. Go back to your roots, go back to the Texas stuff, be just a kick-ass cowboy, and go out there and let them adapt to you. And they did.
That's basically you.
Big time.
That's basically your character. In the late 70s and the 80s, that's basically your character.
He outweighed me about 30 pounds, and he had the blonde hair, and he was a good talker. He was a good talker, really, from day one. Because I've heard him talk on making those long trips to Memphis and back, and he'd go, blah, 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 blah. I told him one time, shut the hell up a minute. But he had an interesting background too.
I've never asked you about this. Did you know Lady Blossom, who was Jeannie Clark? Who was, I guess, Steve's... Wasn't she like Chris Adams' wife, and then it was Steve's wife?
I don't know if... I didn't know her then. And I didn't... Well, I'm trying to think. I met her a time or two. But she was with Chris Adams, right? As his wife.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she ends up marrying Steve.
All of a sudden, she got with Steve. And did he marry her too?
Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
Well, they're crazy. Wrestlers are crazy anyway.
Yep.
But anyway, very nice to me. And I hated to read about some of the problems she had with Chris. And how many problems did she have with Steve?
I don't know. She's got a book. I've not read the book, but I wouldn't say anything that I didn't know.
Well, I knew she had a lot of problems with Chris. But Chris was a hothead, really a hothead.